It honestly feels like my eyes are playing tricks on me after watching episode 20 of Jujutsu Kaisen. Last week, we all agreed. This episode 19, it went viral. For right reason. The fight was incredible, the animation was godly, and then it was as if episode 20 came along and made episode 19 look okay in Jujutsu Kaisen's standards. This episode wasn't just a couple of moments of flash. Every clap, every punch, every kick, every black flash. This episode was incredible, and to top it off, it wasn't even just because it was Yuji and Toto. We had Gramps shredding on a guitar momentarily. Gojo, I don't even know, he's in a league of his own, just doing insanity, literally destroying the earth, and you can't even tell, did you destroy it? Did you throw it away? What did you do? All of the individual pieces, while yes, it's a big action episode, rather than it just being flashy punches and kicks, every clap, every time someone like Toto went to such an extent, it felt like there was planning, there's preparation, and a big dumb idiot who you think he's going to be at the intro when he gets introduced and he's talking about big asses. He's actually one of the most intelligent characters I've seen fight in this series, and has easily become my favorite character in Jujutsu Kaisen. Never thought I'd say that. I know everyone loved his introduction. I thought it was entertaining, but he wasn't someone who necessarily, hooked me in. But seeing his relationship with someone like Yuji and how he has these, realities playing in his head, I think they say it was 0.01 seconds that he had that little idle conversation about, oh, maybe I should drop my curse energy because that will actually cause me more pain. It's interesting how a guy who seems so delusional and so much of a meathead is actually so calculated and is the entire reason someone like Yuji survived the situation. Literally, at the end of the episode, our boy was about to rush in, and if it was for Toto, he probably would have ended up dead, or Gojo would have had to stop his attack, and then obviously the creature would get away. Remember really saying this ever in Jujutsu Kaisen, and I've loved every single episode, but to have an episode like this, with a fight so creative, so well polished, so engaging, I would go as far to say I can already tell this is going to be one of my favorite fights of this year, and I honestly think is one of my favorite fights I've ever seen in the anime media. I love fight animation, especially in battle shonens. I just will sometimes watch fights from series I don't even like, but the fight is just so cool, I'm like, well, there's no way I can't watch it just for the visual eye candy. But if I'm in for a series for the long haul, I can't have fights just be a bunch of flashy looking animation. But to have something so simple on paper, but the simplicity is what makes it so complex, because a lot of times these battle shonens, they go too simple or they try to be too complex. But a clapping ability, where if he wants to, a clap doesn't mean he's going to teleport. But a clap is the requirement if he wants it to happen. He can move himself or others with cursed energy around. And it's so fascinating because this is a guy that if you gave this ability to what I thought he was going to be, a meathead, someone very proud of his muscle but doesn't really think things through, this would be an ability that would be very easy to work around. And in this episode, there's multiple points where it feels like he's giving away his ability in very shonen fashion. Here's how my ability works, enemy. Now you're going to use that information I gave you without really thinking, and that's how you're going to counter it. And you're probably thinking, okay, he claps, he moves one thing at a time. And there comes a point where he moves both of them. And it's very interesting to see how they use that trope of speaking about your ability to your enemy, and that actually in return caused this creature to get a lot of damage applied to her because you literally said, oh, this is how it works, and you kept some of the secrets behind. I love how this is a character who not only has been training Yuji this entire time, he's now has this brother dynamic that he can perfectly match by placing his boy into different locations as Yuji Black Flash combos galore. And you even get in this episode, you're saying hey, I got lucky one time and was able to do 4 in a row, and then we see Yuji do the same thing, and to see his focus and how he was able to really take his teachings, and honestly, hands-on experience is the best way to learn something. You can study things in a book all you want, but, reading about Black Flash versus using it in a life or death situation, realizing that if I don't do this correctly, I'll probably end up dead, is really a great way to show how far he's come. And I love seeing Gojo in the sky just kind of being like, wow, he's definitely changed a lot, but then again, Toto's with him, so that's no real surprise. I love seeing how this was a creature you just understood how powerful it was, but every clap, every time you directed it, it was just so interesting not knowing what we're going to see. Is a foot going to crack down on the head? Is it going to be a punch to the gut? Is one of the characters going to get hurt? And even though you knew Toto was going to be fine in this episode, when he switched over, I was really worried because I was curious, is he going to realize that he needs to drop his guard, or is he going to try to put up a very strong iron will guard? And the fact that he was able to come to the realization, it just kind of shows you that despite his focus being on strength and idols and big asses, the guy is intelligent and he knows when to put his focus on the things that matter. Even though he has these illusions and these realities going on in his head, he's someone that in a life or death situation, the reason why he's such a powerful opponent, it isn't his muscles, it isn't his curse energy, it isn't this clapping ability, it's the fact that he knows how to analyze a situation, and without a doubt is the best teacher for someone like Yuji, who really at first thought this guy was a lunatic saying, why do you even think we're going to be best friends, now is literally calling him brother alongside him. This was an episode that just hooked me in and had me more excited than any anime fight in quite some time. There was just something so raw about the emotion where I was watching it, I was cheering, I was jumping for joy. I was literally so excited like I was an 8-year-old boy first discovering a battle shonen on TV or something like that. It was so complex, but it never took itself too seriously to the point that it needed to be anything else than a character who can teleport his or others' locations, and that's all it needed to be, because by having a character understand when to let his guard down or when to do something creative, a simple teleportation ability is all you need, and when he gets that weapon and throws our boy across the world pretty much, to see the cracks across the head, it really did look quite well. And I was curious what was going to happen up until Gojo appeared and kind of broke down the barrier, and that was incredible. On top of the fact that he literally disfigured a man, he destroyed the arms and legs of a person, and I'm like, if we thought we saw powerful in this episode, imagine what's going to happen when he truly has to go all out, if he ever will. Jujutsu Kaisen is a very special series, that it's one of those shows that I don't think many people will be mad if they have to wait a couple of years to get the season 2. Because the quality that we're seeing is so fluid, there's so much happening. When the show is more basic in anime directing, you're fine with it because it's dialogue scenes and things like that. But this was an episode that took the incredible animation of last week and stretched it over like 15 minutes. And it was non-stop eye candy, visually impressive, the cinematography was incredible. I love how the camera follows these characters. It makes you feel like you're teleporting alongside them. And for an episode that was dominated by action, once again Jujutsu Kaisen shows you how action can be a story if handled correctly, which is many of these series' biggest fault, is it's cool looking action, but you don't care about the characters. I ultimately cared about Mother Nature here because the fact that Mother Nature was actually enjoying the fight, which made it even more frightening, made me really interested in both sides because it wasn't just a non-talking demon trying to fight you. It felt like this had a personality alongside these characters, and as much of a life or death situation as it was, I really think all three of them had a lot of fun, all things considered, and was the best training ever. This is incredible. 4 episodes to go, and I can't wait to see how Jujutsu Kaisen's gonna wrap it up. I mean, after what we've seen, I wouldn't even be mad if this was a slower last month of Jujutsu Kaisen. The quality was insane, and I can only begin to imagine where the future story could go from here. I would love to know everyone's thoughts and feelings about this incredibly polished episode. The sound effects were incredible, like all the kind of crackling from the cursed energy. The animation, the art was just so smooth and clean. The voice actors, the story, it just felt like this was peak Jujutsu Kaisen. And if you had to show an episode to one person to explain just how polished this series is, this is the episode I would show them, if I'm being honest. But let me know your feelings down below. If you enjoyed the video, leave a like, share your support, and hit that subscribe button if you have been new around here. So until next time, everyone, please take care and have a good one.